for our Lunch and Learn, our March 2020 Lunch and Learn. We are in a very weird day and age in our society right now, with everybody essentially working from home because of coronavirus. But I'm grateful that we could all be here today for this Lunch and Learn. I'm so excited for us to discuss the topic of body language and how that impacts a mentoring relationship. So we're going to get started in about 4 minutes. So if you're watching the recording of this, you can fast forward by 4 minutes because we will get started in just a moment. But this just allows all the live participants to join in right now. So I'm going to post a link on our website so then everybody can have it. All righty, we are officially live. Like I said, we are going to get started in about 4 minutes. 4 minutes, we will get started. And we will talk about how body language impacts your mentoring relationship. So if you don't mind, I would love if you could introduce yourself or just say, hey, that you're here in the live session. That would be awesome. We'd love to see who else is here. Awesome. So yeah, introduce yourself in the comment section. I'd love to know who is here, who is in this workshop. We've got some fun things to cover. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Especially, I think this Lunch and Learn is very timely because I think often, especially as our mentor meetings are going more remote, whether that be over the phone or video chat, especially video chat, body language is so critical. We may think like, I could, be in my pajamas on the bottom and, be in a professional suit and tie on top and no one's going to notice. And that might be true, but people do notice your body language. People do notice what's going on with your world. They can see physically on you what is going on with you. So I just want to be very clear how important body language is to the mentoring relationship. So I am so excited to get started. Like I said, we're going to get started in about 2 minutes. But yeah, I just think body language, this topic is such a really relevant topic for the state of the world that we are in right now. It's funny, I bet I'm gonna look back on this recording and think like, man, what a crazy time period that was. I honestly, I'd be very curious to think what my future self will think about this time period in a year from now. It is quite interesting, quite fascinating, and it's a difficult time, but I think in my experience, in any time that there's any scenario of discomfort, it always breeds growth and innovation, always. So I think as a society, or really as a world society, as a human race, we're going through something difficult, but hopefully that is it's a launching pad for something better down the line. So yeah, we are in a crazy time right now. But yeah, very excited to get going. Like I said, body language in a mentoring relationship is our topic. So grateful to have you all here. I was thinking that attendance for the live session would either go one way or the other. I mean, if everybody's at home, maybe that means more people would be watching the live session, or if everyone's at home, maybe they've got other things that they're doing and not normally, maybe their lunch time is thrown off a little bit. I don't really know. But if you are here, I'm grateful that you're here. And if you're not and you're watching the recording, that's great too. I look forward to learning your thoughts on this Lunch and Learn in the future. But if you are here, post in the comment section. Would love if you can introduce yourself. We're going to get started in about 1.5 minutes. And like I said, we're talking about body language in a mentoring relationship. And really, a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today can be applied to any component of the workplace because body language is so critical. I'm going to discuss that more in depth during the Lunch and Learn. But yeah, for right now, we're going to focus especially how body language impacts a mentoring relationship. So we're going to get started in about 30 seconds. Grateful to have everybody here. If you are here watching, post in the comment section. Would love if you could introduce yourself. Because the benefit of doing anything live, especially a YouTube live workshop, is that you can interact with me. You can ask me questions. You can have your questions answered as essentially as you're going through your mentoring relationship. And if you've got any questions, even if it's not relevant to this topic, you can still ask them because it's still, if it's relevant to mentoring relationships, it's relevant to this subject, what we're doing. Hey, Ron, thanks for announcing yourself. Ron, a quick question. Are you working from home or are you working from the office today? So we're going to get started. Actually, right now it is 12 o'clock. Hey, Wendy, thanks for being here. It is 12 o'clock. I am so excited to get started. We are here to talk about body language in a mentoring relationship and how that impacts that mentoring relationship. So, my name is Garrett Mintz. I'm the founder of Ambition in Motion. I'm the person helping facilitate the mentor program for your company. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, our topic is on how body language impacts mentoring relationships and steps that you can take to improve your body language in a mentoring relationship. Now, you might think to yourself, like, is body language that important? I am here to share with you that it is extremely important because more than half of your communication is via your body language. So it's not the words that you say that are really as important. It's actually how people perceive what your body is telling them. And so the first question to really kick off this lunch and learn, and by the way, this lunch and learn will be about 20 to 30 minutes long. And if you've got any questions, please post them in the comment section. I'd be happy to answer them throughout the lunch and learn. And that's obviously the benefits of having a live lunch and learn. But the big question that I really want to ask you right now, just to begin thinking about it, is are you taking energy from this mentoring relationship, or are you giving energy to this mentoring relationship? It's a critical question. It's relevant to body language, and here's how. If you're thinking to yourself, am I giving energy to this relationship, or am I taking the energy from this relationship? If you haven't thought about it, or you haven't even had an intentional focus on being energetic in a mentoring relationship, or just in any relationship for that matter, you're probably taking energy from the relationship. And I know that may sound crass or it may sound crazy, but if we're not intentionally focused on being positive or having energy, or getting ourselves in a physical state conducive for being successful, it's unlikely, if we're not intentional about it, it's unlikely that we're actually going about doing it. We're probably just living our lives and just doing things that are most comfortable for us. And typically that means not standing with the best of posture, potentially crossing our arms, closing ourselves off to other people, not maybe making the best eye contact we possibly can, or just overall not smiling nearly as much as we possibly could. There's a lot of things that can impact us and whether or not we're intentional about whether or not we're giving or taking energy from somebody else. And our default is typically negative or neutral because it's just what's most comfortable. Typically, we just go with whatever feels most natural to us. And sometimes, if we're not intentional about it, it might not be the outcome that we want to accomplish. So think about it. If you ask somebody how they're doing, they typically will respond with a fine or an okay. And this has started happening more recently because people have had enough with saying that they were good. I mean, I think a lot of people kept saying like, "Oh, I'm doing great," and a lot of people weren't actually doing great. So they started saying, "Hey, I'm fine," or "I'm okay," or things are just, they're meh. And these seemingly neutral responses are actually taking your emotional energy and putting it on somebody else. It is taking away from them. And here's the issue: your coworkers are not your therapists. Telling them that you are fine or okay only takes energy away from them because it causes them to want to reciprocate. I mean, if someone's having a great day and all of a sudden you ask them, "Hey, how are you doing?" and someone says, I'm okay. They're gonna say, "Yeah, I'm okay too." It causes them to want to reciprocate, even if they are having a good day. And so that's essentially one way that it potentially helps. It contributes towards bringing people down onto a different level. I mean, think about the opposite. Have you ever been around somebody that was pretty much always positive or had a bunch of energy? That gave you energy. It probably made you super excited. You're like, wow, okay, boom, this person's on a different level. I'm ready to take on the day. I'm ready to just take on anything. It feels awesome when you are around other people that are giving you energy. It feels great. And that's the challenge that I want to put on you for your mentoring relationship and for your next mentor conversation, is that you come in with some energy, that you come in excited, that you've got positive body language, because ultimately, if you can give energy to your mentor, to the person you're in this mentoring relationship with. They're much more likely to come in a lot more energized to come and see you, and that they'll want to be around you, and they'll think, dang, like, oh, right, this person just gave me a lot of energy. They made me feel good for the day, and that's amazing. So they made you feel better about your day. They made you feel better about your life. It may have given you energy to do other things. Maybe it gave you some pep in your step, lit a fire under your butt to do something new or different that you haven't tried. It's really great. But I want to make a quick side note because this is pretty critical. If you're thinking to yourself, I can't be around someone who's got all this energy or somebody overly optimistic because they're just too much for me. I've heard this before. I've heard someone say, hey, I can't be around people who are overly optimistic or overly energetic. They are too much for me. And if you are thinking that, I just want to challenge you. That is a you problem, not a them problem. Because here's the thing, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you spend time with people that are normally happy or energetic, it will rub off on you. But if you are spending time with people that are neutral, negative, indifferent, sad, mad, dejected, angry, it's going to rub off on you. And it's going to be difficult to break those patterns because ultimately we are going to grow accustomed to those we are around. So if we are coming in with high energy, if we're coming in with satisfaction, and maybe you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if I'm running on that wavelength, challenge yourself. Can you run on that wavelength? Or can you be open to the idea of being happy, energetic, optimistic? Because if you can potentially rub off on somebody else. You can potentially change the dialogue and and really the entire layout of your environment of who's around you. And so I really want to challenge you when it comes to your body language, and it comes to the energy, and when it comes to your mentality about who you spend time with and how you view other people who are energetic, challenge yourself to be better. Because if you're thinking to yourself, like, I'm going to make fun of that person because they come in optimistic or energetic, that's a you problem. That's on you for essentially straying away from being happy. And I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we can try to do, especially when we're at work or especially in a mentoring relationship. If we can strive to be happy, we're going to make the most out of this relationship. We're going to be much more energetic. We're going to be much more satisfied with what we're getting out of it. But if we come in negative, it's going to be very difficult for us to actually get something valuable out of that relationship. So I want to challenge you to really think about the positive outcome of what you can achieve from that mentoring relationship. So that is not an excuse to take away energy from somebody else. So are you taking energy from this relationship? Or are you giving energy to the relationship? I'd love to learn about that. And if you are, by the way, if you're doing things that you're intentionally focused or that you would like to try to focus on, post in the comment section. I'd love to learn about that. Essentially in ways that you're trying or that you like to try to give energy in your mentoring relationship. I know I talked about this in the first 5 minutes when we first signed on. Obviously, we are in a crisis right now with coronavirus. People are working from home. It's easy to become disparate. It's easy for us to distance ourselves. That does not mean that virtual mentorship has to stop. We can do conversations. We can have conversations via video call like what we're doing right now. This is something that absolutely can happen, and we can still build strong bonds even while we're social distancing ourselves. Because obviously we want to stem the spread of this virus, but at the same time, it does not stem our ability to learn and grow and be empathetic and build strong bonds with other people. Your body language is so critical to that, because if you're coming in sad, mad, dejected, angry, people can see that on a video call. They can hear that in your voice on a phone call. They can perceive those things, and that is why body language is so critical. So if you are focused on giving energy to your mentoring relationship, I'd love to learn a tactic that you're going to try and implement that will help you come in with better body language to that mentoring relationship. And by the way, I'm about to cover a few key ways that you can go about doing that in a moment. But I'd love to learn if you've got any initial ideas. Post in the comment section. We'd love to learn about it. So having an intentional focus on giving energy to the relationship is a great first step, because I mean, if we're not consciously aware of it, we're going to default. We're going to default to neutral or whatever's most comfortable for us, which sometimes is negative. But if we're intentional about saying, hey, I'm going into this mentor meeting, I'm going to come in with energy, I'm going to come in with positive body language, I'm going to come in bringing my A game, that is going to significantly increase the likelihood that you actually come bringing your A game than if you don't even have an intentional focus around that. So setting an intentional focus is critical. So you might be thinking to yourself, how does giving or taking energy have anything to do with body language? The answer is everything. The majority of our communication is via our body language, more than our vocal inflection, and certainly more than the words that we use. When we have bad posture, when we cross our arms, closing ourselves off to somebody else, when we aren't making appropriate eye contact, or when we just don't smile, we are communicating that we aren't interested. That's what we're communicating to somebody else. Regardless of whether or not we are interested, we are communicating so much more with our bodies than we are with our words. And you may not even realize this. You may not realize that me sitting all day with my arms crossed, that it is going to be perceived negatively, that is closing myself off from somebody else. You know, I think another tangential, relation to this step is when somebody says, hey, how are you doing? Or what's going on with your world? And they respond by saying busy. Busy is the worst term that you could use to describe yourself, because what it does is it closes you off from other people, just like bad body language, bad posture does, saying, hey, I'm busy. What it says to the other person is, I don't have time for you. I don't have time to listen to what you have to bring to me. And I am not spending the time as optimally as I possibly could. and just to kind of share an intangible insight from this, I heard a story. I was actually watching, I think it was an interview between Kevin Hart and Conan O'Brien on one of those talk shows. And Conan was saying to Kevin, man, you're on these new movies and these new TV shows and these new commercials and all these other things. You must be really busy. And Kevin had said, no, 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 I'm not busy. I'm spending the time I have optimally doing the things that I want to be doing. And I thought that was a really insightful perspective, because by changing his mentality, by changing the words that he used about how he spent his time, he was actually creating a positive light and openness for other people to want to join him and embrace him and connect with him. And so that's just another challenge of not only body language, but the words that we use, how it creates meaning in the minds of other people that we interact with. Let's try to be focused and intentional about how we use our words and what we communicate to other people, because it can have a huge impact on them. But back to body language. When we have that bad posture, when we're not smiling, it, regardless of whether or not we are interested, we are communicating so much more with our bodies than we are with our words. So when you're in a mentor relationship, this can be perceived as disinterested, or people being you being disinterested or aloof or indifferent, or just a lack of caring. And if you have bad body language, you can potentially ruin your mentor relationship because the other person is perceiving you as not caring, and that's bad. So the question is, how can you ensure that you have good body language? What can you do to really make sure that you are essentially communicating what you want to communicate with your body? I believe that there are 3 keys to success with this. But before I jump into those keys, I'm going to look at the comment section and see if there are any questions before I jump into that. So I'm looking at the comment section now. Everyone's working from home right now. I would imagine that makes a lot of sense. It seems like everybody's working from home these days. So that makes a ton of sense. If you have any questions, please post it in the comment section. It looks like we don't have any questions right now. So I'm going to jump into those 3 keys for really having successful body language. And by the way, I found these 3 keys to be pretty relevant to a lot of things in life. Those 3 keys are strategy, story, and state. So state is the most important one. So physically, what is your body language saying? Like on your physical state, what is that saying about yourself? Even if you're having the worst day ever, can you change your body language? Can you change your state to impact positively your body language? Now, fortunately, our emotions are influenced, our emotions are influenced by our motions. Put another way, our emotions drive our emotions. So when we are out, when we are moving around, when we are getting our blood flowing, when we are releasing endorphins in our brains, we are making ourselves feel better. It just happens. It's by nature. It's crazy how it works. No matter how horrible of a day you are having, by getting yourself out, by moving around, by shaking it out, you are getting yourself into a state conducive for being successful. You're giving yourself energy. You're making yourself happier. You're literally manufacturing happiness by doing that. And so what we can do, I love to do this exercise, especially if everybody's working from home right now. You've got nothing to lose. You got nothing to be embarrassed. I would love to do an exercise with you all. Even if you're working at an office, what I want you to do is I want you to stand up and I want you to shake it out. I want you to shimmy. I want you to dance. I want you to stretch. I want you to let it loose. Take 30 seconds, stand up, shake it out, shake it loose, shimmy it out. I want you to scream at the top of your lungs. On the count of 3, scream. 1, 2, 3. Yeah! Just let it out, let it loose, let it go. I know this may sound crazy. Your family might be getting crazy and angry with you. They're thinking to yourself, what are you doing? But I'm telling you right now, what you are doing is you're making yourself feel better. I want to ask you right now, how does that make you feel? By standing up, shaking out, letting it loose, screaming at the top of your lungs, does that make you feel better? Probably a lot better. From wherever you were at, it probably took you to a 10 or at least a 9. Now, before you have a mentor meeting, you should do some variation of getting your body moving. This could be a power pose when you stand in a position like Superman, or moving around, shaking it out, stretching, screaming at the top of your lungs. But just getting moving is so critical because it will positively impact your body language and your physical state. You might think it's crazy. You might think, I don't normally do this. I don't do these things where I move around and be crazy. Well, I can tell you from a lot of research from Amy Cuddy on power poses and a lot of other, researchers on this topic of body language and getting yourself feeling better, moving around, getting your blood moving is so critical because it releases endorphins in your mind that, 1, get yourself into a state conducive for receiving information and giving information, just being engaged overall. But 2, it makes you feel better. It just makes you feel better. And that is one great way that you can go about getting yourself into a state conducive for having positive body language. Now, the second key is your story. So what is a story that you tell yourself for why you will or will not be successful? And you might think to yourself, well, I don't care about body language. It doesn't make me feel any better. Even if you are in the case, that may be true, but you aren't working on improving your body language for yourself. You are doing it for those around you. With positive body language, you are giving energy to those around you, even without talking. So putting another way, by getting yourself into a positive state, by getting yourself into positive body language, even if it doesn't make you feel any better, you might think to yourself, this is stupid, this is hogwash, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life, doesn't make me feel any better. Even if that's the case, if it gives you better body language, it makes other people around you feel better. And if you are not doing it for yourself, you should be doing it for those that you're around. So in a mentoring relationship, if you're coming into this relationship and you're thinking to yourself, okay, you know what, I'm not here for myself to do this power pose or this shaking it out or stretching it out or moving around or screaming at the top of my lungs. Like, I'm not doing it for me. Do it for your mentor. Do it for the person you're meeting with, because it'll make them feel like you are much more engaged, much more intentional, and much more focused on the conversation. It'll make them feel like you are truly present, because you will have body language conducive for being successful. So if you're telling yourself a story for why you shouldn't have positive body language, you're openly admitting to saying that you don't care about making the most out of this mentor relationship. Because if you cared, you'd be willing to take 30 seconds to stretch it out. Literally 30 seconds, stretch it out, shake it out, let loose, have some fun. I mean, shoot, you could even make this the first 30 seconds of your next mentor meeting, even if it's in a video call. You and your mentor could stand up for 30 seconds, shake it out, dance it out, stretch it out, scream at the top of your lungs. That could be the initial 30 seconds of your mentor meeting, and that could get you both into a physical state conducive for being successful. I mean, what do you have to lose? Now, if you tell yourself for why you can't or why you won't, you will manifest the outcome that you set for yourself. So if you tell yourself, hey, I can't possibly do this, this isn't for me. If you tell yourself that, you will manifest that outcome. But if you're open to the idea of giving it a try, of just saying, you know what, fine, for my next mentor meeting, I'm going to do 30 seconds. I'm going to dance it out. I'm going to stretch it out. I'm going to shake it out. I'll give this a shot. If at least you give yourself a story for why it might potentially work, you are going to have a much greater likelihood of actually having it work. But if you put yourself in a self-fulfilling prophecy of telling yourself before you've even started, this is not going to work, it's likely not going to work. Just the way things work. You want to reinforce you being right. And so if you've got an assumption or insinuation for why something will or will not work, you will manifest that outcome. So the story is critical. As the adage goes, you are going to miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So if you aren't willing to give this a try, you aren't likely to be successful because you aren't open to the idea of improving your body language. So the final key is your strategy. So what are the strategies that you can implement towards helping yourself improve your body language? So I provided a few strategies during this lunch and learn on improving your body language. But do you subscribe to anything to help you improve your body language? Post in the comment section. I'd love to learn about it. Is there anything that you do that really gets you going, that gets your body feeling great? I love to learn about it, because I feel like there's a lot of things that I've tried, but I think there's a ton of things that I've not even tried or even known about or learned about that could help me improve my body language. And so I love if you could share it with everybody else who's here, things that you've tried to improve your body language. So a few other strategies that I've tried. One that's my favorite is the fake laughing exercise. For 30 seconds, you fake laugh. Literally just go, ha 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 ha, hee, ho 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 ho. You fake laugh for 30 seconds. By the end of the 30 seconds, you're going to be laughing uncontrollably. You will be literally tricking your mind into feeling better. It's the craziest thing. If you want to try it, if you're having a horrible, crappy day, go ahead and fake laugh for 30 seconds. I guarantee you by the end of it, you will actually be laughing. You are just tricking your mind into feeling better about yourself. It's crazy. It will make you happy, because your mind, your emotions drive your emotions. Your mind is a very interesting thing. You can control it in so many ways that you may not even realize. Fake laughing is an awesome exercise to get you feeling better, just feeling happier about life and anything you got coming up, whether that be a mentor meeting, a project, an assignment, or anything that you've got that's maybe stressing you out. Fake laugh about it. It'll make you feel better. Another thing that I like to do, I subscribe to, is forcing a big smile for 1 minute. Just cheese as hard as you possibly can. And do it for a minute, because here's the interesting thing about your muscles. When your muscles act in a certain way for a long enough period of time, they will eventually get used to and accustomed to being in that position for long enough. So if you fake laugh, if you fake smile, if you fake a smile as big as you possibly can for 1 minute before going into, let's say, a networking event or a mentor meeting or a meeting with any other professional that you want to impress, if you forced yourself to smile for a minute beforehand, your face is naturally going to be more likely and more receptive to smiling because it's in a physical, it's muscles, the muscles are more in a state of already being in a smile position. I know it sounds crazy, but to think about it in another way, I don't know if you've ever done this exercise where you stand in between two door frames and you put your arms in between the door frames and you're pushing out as hard as you possibly can. You do it for a minute. By the end of that minute, your arms just start to float. They just move up because you're physically, your muscles have been trying to push against this wall frame, which obviously the door frame's not going anywhere. The point is that your muscles are very fascinating. And if you get your muscles into a position where they're working hard on doing something, they'll eventually stick that way. I think, as like every grandma's told them, don't give yourself a clown smiley face because eventually your face might stick that way. It's not 100% true, but there is an element of truth to that. Your face is going to stick in a certain way if you've set it that way for a long enough period. So 1 minute of forced smiling can help you just have more smiles, be more inclined to smile at more people. It's crazy how that works. Power poses. Power poses were popularized by Amy Cuddy and her research. I'm a huge fan of them. I subscribe to two power poses. One is the Superman power pose, where you stand up as if you're Superman, where you put your hands on your waist, your chest out, your feet about shoulder width apart, and you're looking up to the sky, your chin's up, like as if you're going to conquer the world. You do that for 2 minutes, and it will literally help you make you feel better. It'll help give you better posture, better body language. The other one is the star pose, where literally you put your legs out as wide as you can go, your arms out as wide as they can go, take up as much space as you possibly can, keep your chin up, and do that for 2 minutes. That will also help you feel better. Those are two power poses that I subscribe to, and I really think that they are valuable. And then lastly, you can dance around, shake it out, stretch it out, scream at the top of your lungs. What we just did is another great way to go about getting yourself and your body language in a state conducive for just being positive, giving up positive energy, and just being ready to take on any scenario. So back to the original question. For your next mentor meeting, are you going to give energy or are you going to take it? What can you do to start giving more energy? So what are you willing to give a try to help improve your body language? Post in the comment section. I love to learn what you're going to be willing to give a try to for your next mentor meeting. So just to recap everything that we just covered, your body language is critical to your mentoring relationship. Bad body language can communicate that you are disinterested and unengaged. This could lead to your mentor feeling like you don't care and are not invested in the relationship. Good body language can communicate that you care and that you want to give your mentor energy and build them up. Even if your mentor struggles with having positive body language, you shouldn't reciprocate their bad body language. If you stay positive and focus on giving energy versus taking it, you may be able to help them join you on your level as opposed to going down to their level. Now, the 3 keys to success in having positive body language are strategy, story, and state, with state being the most important, followed by story, followed by strategy. The main reason why state is so important and is the most important is because without positive physical state, it doesn't matter what strategies you try or what positive story you tell yourself. If you're not in a state conducive for being successful, no other story, no other strategies will work because you aren't already physically in a state ready to be successful. Second, the story is the second most important because if you don't believe that this can work, are you going to be willing to try any strategies that might be successful? Probably not. It is much more convenient in a self-fulfilling prophecy to be negative and then identify that the results don't work because you were negative or you told yourself a story for why it wouldn't work. So what's critical is you've got a story that's positive and that's essentially going to essentially convey to you, your mind, and an intentionality that you will be successful, and here's why. You will manifest the outcomes that you set for yourself. And lastly, your strategies are important, but there are many strategies that you can try. Some may work for you that don't work for others, but without a positive state or a positive story, your strategies can achieve you success. Your strategies alone cannot achieve you success. You have to have a positive story and a positive state that go with it. But I'm telling you, I guess what I recognize is that the strategies that I provided today may not be the strategies that work for you. For you, you may have strategies that are totally different and maybe are things that I haven't suggested yet, but you have no idea how that could positively impact you. So that is the end of our Lunch and Learn today. Thank you all for being here, especially those for you in the live session. If you're watching the recording, thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, please post them in the comment section. I'd love to check that out to see how that is going. Okay. Well, everybody, thank you all for being here. I hope that you are starting to set an intention for yourself for your next mentor meeting where you are going to be able to give energy to the mentor relationship instead of taking it. Thank you all for being here. And thank you all for your hard work. Even working from home, it's crazy. I know this is in a crazy time period, but body language can be so helpful to getting yourself excited and in an energetic state for your mentoring relationship and for any aspect of your work. Thank you all for being here, and I look forward to learning how your next mentor meeting goes.